Right.
right? Now you got me
Yeah.
converted.
Well, that's
Oh,
true.
that's true. It might really
It will
converted.
work.
But I'm a believer, that's for sure. Because you know what? If you don't have faith, you don't have
I'm a
anything.
believer. Wasn't it the monkeys?
Monkeys.
Yeah.
Daydream believer?
No,
That's another
I'm a
one.
believer.
I'm a believer, yeah.
That's the monkeys too, wasn't it?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
They were
When they wrote that
dreaming,
song,
dreaming monkeys.
what's the song? Pleasant Valley Sunday?
Oh wow, yeah.
There was Don Kirshner had his recording studio in West Orange. That's where that song's from. Pleasant
Really?
Valley Avenue, yeah.
Remember Don Kirshner's
Rock
concert?
concert.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that show. And I'll tell you what, I liked MTV when it first came on for rock music and stuff like that. Even though the videos were a little corny and stuff,
Yeah,
but you got to
well.
see who was singing the song.
Yeah.
And then
True.
it just went bad to reality TV. I hate reality TV.
Well, it's just such bullshit.
It is, and it's not even reality. It's all scripted.
It's all scripted.
I know a
Yeah,
couple people that
exactly.
were in
It is.
reality shows, and it's all scripted. Nah, we'll try it again, do it this way, and you know what? It's all.
Right.
But we're so gullible as people. We just.
So I had a producer of reality television shows, all hot to make a reality TV um, around me and my pediatric surgical practice.
No, that would have been
And
interesting.
I didn't mind the concept, but he was so excited. And then I was like, wait a minute, something's wrong here. Then I said, well, wait a minute, what's your plan? Tell me what the platform is. Well, we're going to come in with the camera. I says,
Can't do that.
I work for the Catholic Church.
Mm.
No hospital named. I said, but the hospital that I work in, I'm full-time faculty.
Mm.
Do you think they're going to let you just stroll in with cameras and film? I said, no, I'm not a private practitioner.
Yeah.
I don't have my own office out on the avenue. So that put the kibosh, that killed that.
Wow.
But it would have all been scripted. It would have all been scripted, and you know, I'm glad it didn't work
that
out
would have been
because
trouble. I mean, you're
Right.
talking about people's health and privacy
people's health,
issues.
kids issues.
The
Forget it.
HIPAA law, is that true?
Yeah,
the
yeah,
HIPAA
of
law.
course,
See,
yeah.
I know a little bit
Yeah,
about
HIPAA
it. I know a little bit
regulations.
about a little.
Yep.
All right, so let's do a countdown.
Okay.
All right, because you sound fired up, and let's take advantage of that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, people. Aha, I changed it up on you.
Mhm.
Welcome back, people, to the next derivation of, I'm just being a jerk, the next episode of The Jersey Alchemist, and I'm your host, Dr. John Gerard Gallucci.
And I'm Philip D'Angelo.
I can see Bones is staring straight into the camera behind you.
Yeah, I don't like this.
But he's got that lazy eye. His left eye is going out.
Yeah, it's going to keep one way. One time it's that way, and next time it's this way. I mean, have you ever spoken to a person with a lazy eye?
Yeah, of course,
I mean,
lots of people.
there's an operation for that now, right?
That
Can't they like just
that
center it?
operation's been around for a long time.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
got to be a little delicate, so to speak, right?
I guess. I think it's usually strabismus. That's one eye is pulling, and
Yeah.
and I think they foreshorten the muscle or they lengthen it, or I don't know. I'm not an ophthalmologic surgeon.
But it does. It does take, like, when you're talking to somebody whose eyes are wandering,
Yeah.
like, you kind of like, you know, like, who am I looking at here?
Yeah.
You got to pick the one that's straight.
My dad had a very good friend who was a tough son of a bitch, man. He was built like iron, this guy. He had muscles on the top of his head. And I never saw him without a big cigar in his mouth. And it usually wasn't even lit. But he had one of those eyes that pointed, out in the other direction.
You
so
tell
whenever
him.
I was
You tell him his eye was pointing in a
right,
different direction.
whenever I was, around him and he was talking to me, I just had to kind of keep my cool because I kept wanting to kind of, I wanted to be like pulled out like with the tide.
Yeah.
His wandering eye that was
Drifting.
looking, and it had this kind of inductive effect on me.
Wow, interesting.
Not making fun of people with,
No,
a wandering
no.
eye or whatever, but yeah, lots of people.
How about George Bush Sr., his wife? She had the eyes that were like kind of bugged out. That's a disease too,
Oh yeah, yeah.
right?
maybe.
Like,
Yeah, it's possible she had thyroid disease, Graves' disease. I don't know.
I don't know what it was
Kind of like
called.
Marty Feldman.
You know, we kind of take granted not only our health, John, but our eyesight. I mean, you know, there's a lot of issues with eyes. I think there's 500 muscles in each eye. Is that true? Or did I just pull that number out
That
of
sounds
the
a
air?
little excessive.
All right, maybe it was a dozen.
I want to think that the ocular muscles, ooh, LR6SO4, that was from medical school.
Okay.
So I don't know, maybe there's 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know.
'Cause I saw a video. Now, not that every YouTube video is as official as ours is, but this guy said to improve his eyesight, he would do eye exercises because there were so many hundreds of muscles in your eye. And
Well, yeah.
so he said it only takes 5 minutes to do the exercise. So, you know, he wanted you to move your eyes, your pupils this way, that way, up, down, left, right. Do that for 5 minutes. I did it a couple times.
And you got dizzy.
I got dizzy. I passed out. I'm like, what the heck? You know, now I banged my head.
Right.
And I can't see, and I can't drive, you know, so I don't know. It sounded like good reason.
I don't know. I think if you've got like double vision because of strabismus, which is where one eye isn't in accord with the other, then maybe that's important. You'd have to ask an ophthalmologist for that. I don't think it's true that there's 500 muscles, you know.
In each eye?
Yeah, no. And I don't know.
Interesting. So how you feeling today?
I'm feeling okay,
Feeling
man.
okay?
I'm feeling okay. It's a hot one out there. It's muggy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It is. It's hot. It's June in New Jersey, summertime. Beaches were packed. I was on the Parkway Saturday. Even though the weather wasn't that great, there was a lot of cars on the Parkway with that $2 toll and that $6 gas. I mean, it costs money now to go down the shore. It's
It's $100 every time I fill up my tank. $100. And that's regular. That's regular. Yeah.
I mean, and you know what kills me? I mean, we have so many things to talk about that are going on in our country, and that's important. You know, when in prior administrations, when the gas went up a nickel, it was a big deal on the local news at night. You know, oh, gas is now up. Now nobody talks about it. I mean, you get a blip from a couple stations maybe, but I mean, this is affecting everybody every day.
Yeah.
You know, think how much extra money in gas alone. And they said, really, sky's the limit here. We could be going up to $6, $7.
Well, I think by the end of July, I think it's going to be around $10 a gallon. We're talking Jersey prices. California,
they're already there. I think.
Well, I think they're like $7.50. California.
So
right?
how can people? So the whole idea now, the conspiracy theorists are saying the whole idea is because of they want everybody to go to electric. So if it hurts you enough, you'll just forced to go out and buy an electric car for $70,000, and you don't have to worry about fossil fuel in your gas tank anymore.
Well, look, that's where it's going, but it's gonna. I'm gonna say something that's gonna piss a lot of people off, but you better get.
Oh, this will be the first time.
You better get familiar with the concept that your kids may be the last generation that owns and drives their own vehicles, and where the powers that be see society going, well, of course, they see that there's only going to be 500 million human beings on the planet as opposed to 7.5 billion, and everything is going to be mass transit, whether it's electric or magnetic, you know, whatever, but it's all going to be mass transit. And I'm not a mass transit guy. I have a kid, my third child. But boy, she just loves mass transit. She's the train lady to the point where it gets me upset because she takes a train and gets back home in Brooklyn at 1:30 in the morning. Now,
Wow.
you know, I think that's dangerous. I think that's not a good idea. You know, maybe if you're 6'4" and 260 pounds and ripped and covered with tattoos, that's okay. But you know, when you're a young lady, you shouldn't be on a fucking train going to Brooklyn at 1:30 in the morning. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's a lot of unstable people, especially at that hour of the night, day, whatever you want to call it, John.
Yeah.
There was a video talking about electric cars on YouTube, and a guy said he traveled, I'm going to say, out of New York to Delaware, He said, I spend more time trying to charge my car than I did actually, at his location.
Yeah.
Like, it's a real thing. It takes, what, 20 to 30 minutes if you're going long distance
Well,
to charge that?
That's what I'm hearing. That's what it takes once you get hooked up to the charger.
And you got to find the charger.
Well, okay, so and usually these, apparently, I don't have an electric vehicle, but apparently, it's all preset into the mechanism of the computer of the car. It comes up on your LCD screen or whatever. It tells you where the closest charging stations are. The problem is, traffic is traffic. People are people. So whether it's you're in a fossil fuel vehicle and you're trying to get from North Jersey to the Jersey Shore on fucking 4th of July, I don't know why you'd be so stupid to do that. But if that's what you're going to do, you're going to run into traffic. And you know where the gas stations are, and when you go, you might be in line at the gas stations. But if you're talking about charging an electric vehicle, okay, now you got to find the station or the charging port, whatever it's called, and then it's going to take, what, 30 minutes to charge your car? Well, what if there's a line that's 40, 50 vehicles long? You got to bring your sleeping bag.
Exactly, and anytime I have seen, like, there's a couple malls where they put a couple installed and a couple gas stations, but there's only 2 of them, or 3 maybe tops. So like you said, there's going to be a line there. I mean, if there's a couple electric cars ahead of you, boy, I'll tell you what, don't be in a rush if you have an electric car.
Right, don't be in a rush. Yeah, it's a little bit. Yeah, I don't know.
Don't they have hybrid cars, John, that
Sure they do,
are
yeah.
gas?
I think hybrid cars were the first squeezing of the grape. I think they were the first derivation of electric vehicles. I don't think straight EVs didn't come out first. I think the hybrids came out.
Yeah, and you can go like a certain amount. It's not like a full gas tank, but there is a reserve.
But shouldn't there be a reserve like on a motorcycle? You got that little reserve thing where you have another, don't you have an extra gallon in your tank?
No.
That's what they taught me.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I don't have one.
It's weird. I thought, well, whatever. But
maybe it's the make. What?
That was 2007, and part of the course was that, that you had to kind of reach down, and there was this little turn lever screw that gave you like an extra gallon of gas, so that, what's a motorcycle get?
A motorcycle, you can
50
go,
gallons?
yeah, you can,
50
miles
on a
yeah,
gallon?
Yeah, you can probably go pretty far with that. Makes sense.
But I guess that's not true. Only certain motorcycles?
I put gas in my motorcycle a couple weekends ago, and my back is to the pump. Any true motorcycle guy pumps his own gas, okay? And it was super, and I put it in, and it was never more than $5, $6, $7, whatever. I turned around, guess what the number was? $13.13. I immediately went home. I parked if you get double 13s like that, you can't ride your motorcycle that day. Call it superstition, call it whatever you want.
I would agree with that.
I jumped on the bike, I blessed myself like this, and I went straight back into the garage. That was it. I was done for the day.
Right.
13.13.
But you don't have a reserve lever.
There is no reserve on my bike. No.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, because you can't take that chance. So if you're on the parkway, and you're stuck and you've got an electric car, electric vehicle, you're going to be in trouble. The turnpike, forget about it. That highway's unforgiving. You're in trouble. And how do you know what the next state has right now? See, this is what I don't understand, John. If you want to switch to electric, all right, I get it. Solar panels, whatever you want to do. But let's piece by piece get there in an intelligent, rational, direction.
Right.
Let's not just jump, all right, no gas, electric. And we're not set up for it.
Well, that's politics.
Who's
politics.
Who's making that decision? That's horrible.
I don't know. I think it's the jerk off in the White House.
Is that plural, S at the end, or just OFF? There has to be more than
Plural.
one. I personally don't think he's making any decisions.
He probably isn't.
Yeah.
Right.
That's for sure. Did you see his interview the other night?
No.
I saw little snippets of it. The guy looked like he was sleeping during the debate or the interview. It was crazy.
I didn't see it just because I really don't want to get myself upset.
Yeah.
So I really don't watch the news, and I don't watch any later version or you know, YouTube production of the news.
Yeah.
I just can't do that to myself.
Yeah.
But what I am seeing, bits and pieces, I just, I don't believe. Like, could it possibly be that that's really Joe Biden, and that he's really saying the things he says and makes the gaffes he makes, and he trips while he's going up the steps of the airplane? And I mean, could it really be him, or is this one big psyop hoax? Because there's a lot of people who say, hey, there is apparently his administration just a week ago admitted that a lot of things that they do are in a studio designed to look like the White House,
yeah.
but it's in the vicinity of Washington, D.C., but they're really not in the White House. Well, why the fuck aren't you in the White House?
Yeah, well, he goes back home every weekend to Delaware. We know that.
Is that true?
Yeah, true. Absolutely is true. So if you do the math, there's 52 weeks in a year, and if you're spending 2 days a week at home and, you know, not in the White House, that's like a third of the year.
Well,
you're not even there.
Something's rotten in Denmark,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
Well, and not only that, I mean, let's face it, there's 78, how old is he, 78, 79?
I think so.
All right, there's 78, 79. Listen, my mother was 75, sharp as a tack.
Right.
So it's really not the age so much.
It's not.
It's somebody who's had 2 brain operations, right? We know that.
Yeah.
He had 2 brain hemorrhages or something, John, right? And somebody who's obviously, you know, shaking hands with people on a stage when there's nobody there. I mean, obviously, you know, there's an issue here. And maybe that's why during the campaign that he was in his basement the whole time.
Maybe.
You know, I don't even think he's making these decisions. I think his.
Well, is it possible that the brain? You know what? Didn't Hillary Clinton have a brain operation too? Didn't she have some kind of bleed? And maybe she didn't require surgery. Maybe she didn't. But is it possible that he had some kind of a Neuralink implant put in his brain, and we just don't know about it? And now he's like the ultimate fucking idiot puppet.
The ultimate vegetable.
Yeah, well, I just, you know, well, you know, the thing is, I saw him say on live television, he was answering questions. This is, I don't know if it was before the 2020 election or shortly thereafter. He says, oh, yeah, he says, you know, they'll put me in place, you know, because it's my turn. He says, and oh, he says, and then, you know, shortly thereafter, you know, me, you know, being in the White House, I'll develop some condition that will make it so that I can't go on, and then Kamala will take, you know, take the White House. That's exactly what he said.
Wow, how is that not playing everywhere? That's amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
do you have faith in our vice president now? I mean, I don't. You know, I mean, she seems like she's always giggling, number one.
Every time I think of Kamala Harris, I can't help but think of, God bless her, Tulsi Gabbard. Just, to me, it was like a one-sided UFC fight. Tulsi Gabbard kicked the fucking shit out of Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris has no business and no qualifications being the vice president of the United States. The only thing she's proven herself good at is that she's a salad chef. She's asked a question, she giggles, and she makes immediately a word salad. She's the best fucking word salad chef I've ever seen in the world. How the fuck is she the vice president? I think the whole thing is a psyop. I really do. I think Joe Biden's a psyop. Kamala Harris is a psyop.
What do you mean by psyop, John?
A psychological operation to fuck with people's heads and their emotions and their consciousness. That's what a psyop is.
Well, everybody in their administration, or at least 75 to 90%, is from the Obama administration. Now, there is rumor and talk that the only president to ever move to Washington, D.C. after his terms, which is Obama, is running the show through his people.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Joe Biden, like, he's just like a Trojan horse. He's just...
Well, he's a puppet.
He's a puppet.
He's a puppet, yeah.
Yeah, so there's thoughts that, you know, Obama's still calling the shots.
Well, it could be. That
You
could
know?
be. I mean, look, who's calling the shots behind Obama? People like Kissinger and Soros. When Obama was the president, George Soros was physically in the White House with him 8 or 9 times.
Really?
That
I mean,
little rat-faced fucking troll.
who is this George Soros to throw this kind of money around to affect? Like, what does he have against the United States of America that he has to somehow systematically change everything we believe in? I mean,
And
who
listen,
is this
well,
guy?
It's not just the United States. He loathes Vladimir Putin. He loathes the strength that that the Russians have, and he loathes the United States
Because of our strength?
because of the sovereign, strong nature of the two superpowers. He would loathe the Australians if the Australians were more like the Americans. But apparently, and it gobsmacked me that the Australian people can allow themselves to be so fucking whipped, to be so co-opted, to be so controlled. I was like, what the hell? I mean, my vision of a tough motherfucker was,
Crocodile Dundee.
Crocodile Dundee, but like, wasn't Steve Irwin Australian?
Yes, I believe
Right?
so.
I mean,
Correct.
people who lived in a land down under where they had to deal with crocodiles and boxing kangaroos and this snake and that snake and all sorts of, and weather that would cook an ostrich egg on your head. And these people, were tough people.
John, they
And then
gave up their guns.
Well, that is part of it. They gave up their fucking guns. I think, I just, who Ricardo Bossi is?
No.
He's like a Australian special forces guy who I think is, I don't know if he's retired fully, but he's either a politician or a political activist now. You can find him on YouTube. But he really is kind of a guy that's speaking for the people in Australia. And, I got to say that what I've seen from Australia over the last 2 years during the pandemic,
Oh, that was horrible.
and we have a couple of viewers from Australia. What are you doing down there?
Yeah.
How are you possibly allowing your government officials to crush you like a bunch of pigs on a fucking pig farm? I don't want it that way. I love the Australians. Get a hold of yourselves. Overcome the evil that's got you enshrouded and shackled. Please. And taking it all the way up north, that piece of shit, the biological son of Fidel Castro, that says it will be illegal to own a handgun in Canada. Are you kidding me? Canadians, where are you?
Another tough country.
Well, another tough country. Where are you?
Hockey's birthplace.
You're giving the farm away, ladies and gentlemen of Canada. Some of the toughest people on the planet, and you're giving it all away to the Castro Trudeau regime. Are you kidding me? To the New World Order. Stop it. Stop that. Oh, you got to be kidding me.
Some of the toughest video to watch, John, during the pandemic. And it was on social media because the news, no channel in the United States was showing it, was Australia. What they were going through with their government and their police.
Absolutely.
Women, I mean, getting beaten.
Wrestled down, beaten. Yeah. It's
women, and it was horrible to watch. I'm like, how could a government do this to their own people? It was horrible to watch. And like you said, we were surprised. If you're one of our viewers from Australia and you know who you are, please comment. Like, what's up with your government? What's going on? Enlighten us.
Yeah.
And if you want to come on the show, we'll do a special broadcast with you on the split screen. We can do that from Australia. I mean, so we can find out what the heck is going on.
Yeah. What's really going on down there? Because I tell you what, I'm mortified for the Australian populace. I really am.
It's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. I'm totally gobsmacked. And for the Canadians, and I tell you what, it's coming this way. And in the words of George Bush Jr., You said if the people knew what we did or what we're up to, they'd chase us with pitchforks and torches. Maybe we should bring back stonings. You know, I've said that before. I'm not calling for stonings, but I'm just quoting George Bush, George W. Bush, that rocket scientist. You know, and if he thinks that it would take pitchforks and torches, let's throw in stonings. So be it.
Wow. I mean, it is definitely trying to make its way. I mean, I think it started in Europe. The European countries, Angela Merkel, the guy in France and Italy, of course, unfortunately, they all went with that open border, liberal mentality. Their finances weren't that strong.
Well,
and
I don't think any of them are really liberals. I think what they are, they're fucking Nazis. They're fucking. You know, it's
would
interesting.
you say progressive? No.
No. I think
Nazis?
I think the whole thing is a veil and a hoax. It's a smokescreen, because I watched an unbelievable production on YouTube the other day about the origins of eugenics, and basically a lot of the dictums that the Third Reich and the German Nazi machine had. Guess where it originated from? It originated right from the Rockefeller Foundation, the Rockefellers, and the Rothschild banking system in the United States. And so, where did World War II come from? People, ask yourself, if the Ford Motor Company manufactured a good amount of the Russian vehicles, which apparently was true, and if the oil companies and the bankers were financing the Third Reich and the Nazi war machine, and we were sending our boys there to be slaughtered, just like the Canadians and the Australians were, doesn't that make you want to scratch your head and say, wait a minute now, wait a minute. And then here we are with some warmongers in Washington saying that, oh, you know, if Putin wants to threaten nuclear war, then we have to answer in turn. What are you, stupid? Are you that fucking stupid? I mean, give me a break. And then $50 billion US, 50 billion US fucking tax dollars to the Ukrainian war machine, when we know that there's a large faction of Nazis that are fighting. Is it the Azov Battalion or something? Here we are all these years later. Not much coverage of D-Day at all on June 6th, but we've given, thank you, Joe Biden, you feckless idiot, 50 billion US tax dollars to the Nazis in the Ukraine. If you don't think that's true, look it up, people. Look it up.
And, you know, maybe it's just coincidental, John, but as soon as our Congress and Senate approved of those billions, tens of billions of dollars going to the Ukraine, all of a sudden Ukraine is not in our news stream anymore. There's no daily reports about what's going on, where's the fighting.
That's probably because they're getting their fucking asses kicked by the Russians, just like we all knew they would from the get-go. And all of those bullshit shorty films on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube about the Russians running like cowards, and here are the captured Russian soldiers and they're crying for their mothers. It's all fucking bullshit, people. You want to put your money down on Russia or the Ukraine militaristically? I put my money with the Russians. You idiots. You idiots. You've allowed the propaganda machine to co-opt your fucking brains again, over and over and over. And they count on you being that fucking stupid.
I mean, just think of that, John, the coincidence. The second the tens of billions of dollars went there, all coverage on the Ukraine just stopped. I mean, you don't even hear about it anymore. We heard about it every second of every day, every newscast, every TV show. Right. All we talked about was Ukraine. People wearing Ukraine flags, flying, you know, all over.
Where was that guy with the laptop that he turned in to get it repaired? Where was he? Where was he getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars from? Oh, it was the Ukraine. Oh,
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Tied in.
Very interesting.
Wasn't Hitler one of his first, once he gained power in Germany, one of his first acts, John, to take the guns from the German people? I believe so,
Geez, you
but
know what? Maybe,
I'm thinking, I've heard
maybe.
that. If somebody out there wants to fact check that to see if it's true that Germany under Hitler, one of his first acts was to confiscate all guns, so this way nobody could fight back, nobody could
Yeah.
defend themselves.
Could be.
I mean, if that's the case, Australia, Canada, get ready.
Well,
There's a storm coming.
that's why the gun grabbers don't want people to have assault rifles.
Mm.
They don't. How many? And by the way, people, I hope this doesn't get us torpedoed here. But how old was that guy down in Texas that perpetrated the shooting 2 weeks ago?
18 years old.
How does an 18-year-old with psychological issues, with basically not a dime in his pocket, how does he all of a sudden come up with?
Almost 5
Well,
grand.
apparently it was somewhere between $5,000 and $7,000 worth of equipment. Where'd that come from? Where? Mama, Dada? No, no. How about handlers? Handlers that made sure he had everything set up so that he could pull that off.
Wow.
Think about that, people. Put that in your fucking pipe and smoke on it.
John, please, let's alchemize this episode
Ooh.
before it gets too hostile
Ooh.
in here.
Ooh.
I'm trying to keep it calm.
Okay.
Very passionate.
I believe that the creator of the universe created us with inalienable differences. I don't mean beefs and friction points. I'm talking about the Irish aren't the Spanish. The Spanish aren't the Polish. The Polish aren't the Italians. The Italians aren't the Russians. The Canadians aren't the Ukrainians. On and on and on. Whites aren't blacks. Blacks aren't whites. And all I can say is what makes a stew delicious are the individual components of the stew that retain the beautiful flavors that they carry to the stew. True nationalism, patriotism, is what gives the United States its right to be the United States. And the truth holds the same. The same holds true for the Italians, or the Spanish, or the Russians, or the people in Brussels, or the Chinese, or the Japanese, or the Vietnamese, or the people anywhere around the world. But the New World Order will not stand for strong, nationalistic, sovereign countries, sovereign nations. Why? Well, because we're supposed to be defenseless. We're supposed to yield to what? To the European Union, if we're a European country. The European Union is nothing but a gateway to the New World Order. The United Nations is an illegitimate, corrupt gateway to the New World Order. So is NATO. So is NATO. If you think that you won't ever see NATO troops on the streets of the United States or Canada, guess again, because this feckless, evil people that find themselves illegitimately in positions of political power are all trying to make this happen. So how do I alchemize this? People, this is just a call to wake up. It's a call to spiritual arms, people. Put on God's body armor, the spiritual armor of spiritual warfare. We can't call for a violent revolution because that's not the right way to go. We just can't do that. They'll silence us forever if we do that. But people, the only way to perpetrate a real meaningful change in this physical, existential third dimension is to get it and nip it at the butt, which is in the energetic origins of what happens here on this planet. So people, please take the time, set up a little place in your home, someplace that's safe, someplace that you can be quiet. Get yourself a candle. Don't burn down the house. If you get an LCD candle, okay? That's my disclaimer. Light the candle, turn the lights down, and learn how to pray. Learn how to talk to the Creator with your heart and lay it on the line. Ask for peace. Ask for harmony. Ask for all of the sovereign nations of the world to stand strong and to remain the sovereign nations that they are, and to not be overrun and co-opted by the evil Luciferian New World Order. And very often I'm going to default to that because that's what's happening. That's where the spiritual warfare lies. And if we don't wake up and fight the spiritual warfare, you are obligating your kids, your grandkids, and your great-grandkids to either be prisoners in a tyrannical New World Order, or they'll never even manifest on this planet because it won't be allowed. China already has a moratorium on having more than one kid in certain areas. I will not stand for that, and neither should you. That's it, Phil.
Wow, John, strong, powerful words. I really appreciate that one.
Amen.
That's it. People, thank you for watching The Jersey Alchemist. If you like what we're doing, press like and
subscribe. For God's sake,
I love
subscribe,
that.
for
the
God's
love of
sake.
peace. Thank you, people. Till next time.
There you
Peace.
go. Okay.